welcome to Just Talk Funerals with me, Jason Threadgold.
And me, Nichola Threadgold.
Just Talk Funerals is all about the funeral industry, the people that work alongside us, and an insight into what we do.
We will have some special guests along the way, sharing their experiences and how their professions overlap with what we do.
So get yourselves comfy, grab yourselves a cuppa, and let's get into today's episode of
Just Talk Funerals. Hello and welcome to another episode of Just Talk Funerals with myself and Jason. And today, well, this is a bit of a different one, isn't it, Jason? Because we've been asked through our podcast email address to talk about life after death.
Crikey.
Yeah. So I'll start with this one, shall I? And then we can sort of see where this conversation goes. Okay, so when we talk about life after death, what does that phrase mean to you? What do you think of?
Okay, so my perspective on it is, I think there's something.
Yep.
I'm not confident on what, but there must be something.
Yeah.
I don't see the point of us being here if there's nothing beyond.
Yeah.
And this is just my beliefs, nobody else's. I personally don't believe you go to a space where you meet all of your family and you stay with your family. What I think is maybe you go to a space where you do meet them, but you then go beyond them. But read into that what you want. I can't see the point of anybody being on this planet if there's nothing afterwards. What's the point?
Yeah.
So there's got to be something. I'm just not sure what that is.
Okay. And do you think this topic is important for families we support?
I think so. Yeah, because everybody's got different beliefs. Some people will just dismiss it and say there's nothing. When you're dead, you're dead. They'll just say it like that.
Yeah.
Whereas others live, eat, sleep and breathe the fact that they're going to a better life once they've left this world.
Yeah.
So yeah, everybody's got different beliefs. And then we see that many different cultures and that many different religions and beliefs that all have a different perspective on it.
Yeah.
That's why I don't specifically angle towards one. So I'm open to anything and I'll listen to everybody's perspective.
Yeah.
So I take little snippets from everybody's religions.
Yeah.
That's just the way I am. Sorry.
No, that's fine. And that's it. You know, it's good to debate this subject, isn't it? Because we've all got different thoughts and beliefs around this, haven't we? So do you find that in your sort of experience of being a funeral director for over 30 years, do people talk to you about life after death?
Yeah, quite openly. Yeah, and in loads of different contexts as well.
Yeah.
I mean, sadly, over the years, I've had people question me on religion and say, how can God let this happen? Why has this happened to us? These sorts of things.
Yeah.
And I can't give them the answers that they want to hear.
Yeah.
And I can't give any excuse as to why anything's happened either. All I can do is kind of support people through the journey they're going through and try and give them comfort in, if you do feel strongly towards religion, or if you've thought about bringing religion into anything, then be open to it and see what that brings to you.
Yeah.
And the life in the belief in the life beyond may well just do that for them.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So, what do you see families experiencing in the days immediately after a loved one's passed?
Okay, I think initially what I see is loneliness. You know, I think it's hard, isn't it? Especially when you lose somebody, you know, your family and your friends rally to support you, don't they? And you're on this sort of, in this bubble as you go through the arranging, the organisation of a funeral and people sort of being there to help you. But then in the days after, when that funeral has taken place, you know, a lot of those people go back to work, they go back to their own homes, wherever they may be, you know, those funeral arrangements have stopped. So I just can imagine that, you know, there's loneliness, isn't there? You know, but then, you know, there's been times where we've done a funeral for somebody and then they've come back into the office a few days later and they're trying to piece back together what is going to be a normality for them now. And, you get quite a few people say, well, I talk to her, we sit at night, nobody sits in her chair, but I sit and I talk to her. Or even when people have got the ashes back, they'll say, well, I've put them in a certain place so that I can have a chat with her, so that, people deal with grief and that time in very different ways, I think, don't they?
We spoke about this before, haven't we, on prior podcasts about the time when your grandma had passed away and you were on a bus and you looked out the window and everyone else was getting on with the day-to-day life as if nothing had happened, yet your world at that point was falling apart.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've got this sort of grief process that we talk about. So shock, disbelief, blame, acceptance, and you flip between all them as you're going through it. Do you think on a kind of spiritual level, it can help you in some of them factors, thinking that or knowing that there's something beyond?
I think so. Yeah. I think knowing, and I hear a lot from people where they say, Mum has passed away, and for me going to see her or, a few days later or whatever, they say that, that is not Mum in spirit anymore. That is Mum's shell. Her spirit is now above me. It's watching over me. And I think there's got to be some comfort in thinking that, that person has passed away, but, are they now looking down on you and helping you to move forward and move through grief as well?
How do you think people sort of begin to get some sense of normality back, though, in the life after they've lost somebody? I mean, is there any sort of key things? I know we're kind of angling this at life after death kind of thing, but is there any things you would suggest to them that what they could do, what they could lean on to be able to try and, it's never going to be the same because you've lost that person, but you've got to get this new way of living for yourself, really. Is there any hints or tips you'd give people for that?
I think it's hard for me to give people hints and tips because I've never sadly lost somebody, thankfully, close to me. So I don't know how I would feel at that point. But looking at people that have lost people that we've dealt with and seeing how they deal with it, I think there's lots of different ways, isn't there? We see people that really struggle after their loved ones passed away. And it's how, they get through that. So whether that's through family, we see a lot of people will maybe go and live with family for a week or so, because family maybe don't live in this area. So that, the family are there to help them through those first few weeks. We see friends that gather around to help people, don't we? And to help them maybe to continue to go out into the community. Because I think from what I can see is you could soon become a bit of a recluse when you've lost somebody. You don't want to go out. You don't have that energy. So, it's around maybe just helping to support people, or if they don't want to go out, people visiting them just to bring some sort of normal into everyday life. I think you can maybe get to a point there where then you need some professional help if that's continuing. And I think, we've seen that and helped signpost people, haven't you, where, that loneliness has then turned into depression. And that's where it can start to become a bit dangerous, can't it? So, and people looking out for other people, neighbours looking out for others and, just making sure everybody's okay. I think we've lost a bit of that in the world.
Yeah, I think community in that sense in some areas has gone into it.
Yeah, definitely. And, and just helping support each other, I think until you're in that position, you just don't know how you're going to feel. And that's why I can't say for sure. But it's just from what I've seen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, What are the first practical steps do you think families need to be aware of after a death?
The big changes, really. I mean, when we go and we sit with people and we talk about funeral arrangements, if you want to call it that, we're going through, in one sense, a little bit of a tick sheet, but tailored to each individual.
Yeah.
So the key questions that we need answering to be able to make this service, whatever type of service it is you want. But the things that people kind of miss all the time, and we'll always prompt people on this when we're meeting with them, is we'll always talk about insurance. Now, people naturally assume straight away when we talk about that, I'm going to talk about life insurance, and that's not what I mean.
No.
I'll always go straight into, do you have any home insurance? And most people say yes. If it's a couple, we'll say yes. So then we need to ask the question, well, whose name is that insurance in? Well, it's in both of our names. So I said, well, you need to kind of bump that up your list of things to deal with.
Yeah.
Let that insurance company know that one person on that policy has then passed away.
Because they'll deem it as void, won't they?
Yeah, if you leave somebody on there that's passed away, they would class it as fraudulent, and then they would just not pay out if there was a claim or anything.
Yeah.
Second one, which is one that loads of people miss, is we talk about car insurance. And have you got any policies that got that person's name on it? Is it their policy? Are they a named driver? That kind of thing. And so, well, yeah, they've got the policy, but it runs until September, say, so we're going to change it then. No. Jump onto it now.
Yeah.
Because, again, it's the same principle. You leave somebody on an insurance policy for a vehicle that's passed away, I can guarantee you 100% that that insurance company, if you were to have a bump or get caught or anything, they're never going to pay out. And in one sense, you will be the one getting prosecuted.
Yeah.
So always jump that up the list.
Yeah.
And it's easy to deal with. So let your funeral director talk you through the process of dealing with that. So they're the ones that I always kind of highlight going through the arrangements. But the main things to deal with are, think about yourself first. Think about your family and your friends, what you're going to do. Don't rush into big decisions, because it's the big decisions that you're going to need to take time over.
Yeah.
Things like utilities, banks, anything like that, just leave them. There's no rush to deal with that. Your key things are, to allow a service to go ahead, you'll need to have registered that person's passing.
Yeah.
So we need to wait for the GP, the hospital, to send the paperwork to the medical examiner. Once that's then signed off, then that allows us to go for either a burial or cremation. We can kind of anticipate how long that's going to take, so we can tentatively book things in advance of that coming to us.
I was just going to ask you a question. You talk about registering a death. So what happens, say, somebody dies in a county that is not where they live, and the family, say for instance, somebody I knew went up to Scarborough, passed away, but I live here in Scunthorpe, they live in Scunthorpe. Do you have to go all the way to Scarborough to register that death? The
choice is yours. It always has been the choice, but it's been made that a little bit simpler now. The medical examiner's involved, because you're not having to get doctors going backwards and forwards with paperwork. Everything's done by email now. You can register by declaration in whatever jurisdiction you live within.
Yeah.
You just need to make your registrar's office aware of that at the point when you book your appointment.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can do it anywhere you like, really, nowadays.
Which is a lot better, because you used to have to go to where that person had died, didn't you, to register the death. So if, we're in Scunthorpe, or if it was down in Somerset or somewhere, it's a long way to go.
And I can take you back decades where every county that you used to have to pass through when you were bringing somebody back to their home, you had to register at a police station and sometimes pay a fee through every county that you went through. That was abolished a long while since, but I can still remember that.
Yeah. So a lot easier now. Okay. So you help, or funeral directors help people and guide them through things like the paperwork, planning and decisions. Is there any specific decisions that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, we would never make a decision for somebody, but we'd always give people the options. Your key one will always be burial or cremation. We know this. And I know we're going off on a bit of a tangent here talking about life after death, but it'll make sense when we bring it back together at the end of this. Key things, burial or cremation.
Yeah.
Not on the cards yet, but things like resumation, we'll talk about that in a few episodes to come. That's going to be coming on stream in the next few years. They're what you need to angle at to start with. And then it's, I would say, look at when you're going to be available to hold a funeral service. Not us, the funeral doctors, you as a family.
Yeah.
And keep that in your mind when you're booking things, that this is when it's going to suit me. Don't be strong-armed into something where it suits the funeral director. Sadly, you're going to have occasions where you can't get the availability due to such things as like your crematoriums, your churches, your cemeteries. So we have to be a bit flexible around that. But your funeral directors, majority of them, they're really flexible and they'll work around you.
Yeah.
So I would say angle at that first.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. How do people's beliefs influence the way they navigate life after death?
Ooh. How do people's... I guess, different cultures, people have different beliefs. That is all entwined, isn't it, in terms of how they deal with or understand life after death. We're all very different, aren't we?
We are. So I'll throw that straight into the next question without you having to expand on that, because you'll probably expand into it. Have you noticed changes in the kinds of spiritual or cultural conversations families are having? Or are they open to? So, I think at this point, we need to maybe mention that there are people that believe in the beyond, obviously.
Yeah.
And some people go to extremes of attending spiritualist events or churches to find that solace in somebody coming back to them.
Yeah.
And giving them messages.
Yeah.
Do you think over the years people have lent more towards that or are more open to them sorts of things?
Yes, I would say so. I think as somebody that has been to spiritual church and sat amongst others where, we see if anybody's going to come through to give us comfort. The amount of people that I've seen, it shows that there is definitely something where people do want that comfort, do want to know that those that have passed away are okay, and just that reassurance.
Do you think that's the thing? Is that person who's still in this world, is looking for that sort of confidence that the person who has passed is okay.
Yeah.
And it's not the fact that they're trying to bring them back.
No.
It's the fact that they want to make sure that wherever they've gone to, they're being looked after, they're well cared for, and they're comfortable in that environment. Yeah,
definitely. Again, from my own personal experience, some of the conversations are around to those that are sat in the room, it's, I am okay. Don't worry about me. I have got to where I need to be.
And what kind of reaction do people give when that happens?
It's very emotional. I think whether that's it's a comfort, it's, I think, again, like I say, it's reassurance and just understanding that everything is okay. Yeah.
Now, some people, listeners, are probably thinking they're real sceptical about this.
Yeah.
And I guess you've kind of got to have witnessed it.
Yeah.
I'm going from experience with you telling me things that have been said or you've witnessed within that environment.
Yeah.
And I believe, 100% I believe in that kind of thing. I don't know what, we've had this conversation, I don't know what's afterwards, but I believe in the afterlife of some sort. The people who are going to be sceptical about this are the people that are going to think, well, they know who you were. They'll have done research on you before you come in the room. They'll know everything. Some of the things you've told me are very specific for people. And physically naming people, going through certain things that would never be in the public domain and getting said. What can you say to the skeptics out there to get them to kind of believe?
I guess I would say is I was once I was skeptical, and I'm going back many years ago when my grandma died. Actually, when I went to see somebody, and the amount of things that she told me, and it wasn't actually my grandma that came through, it was my granddad, to say that she was okay. And just some of the things that were mentioned, it was, well, that couldn't have been said to anybody. So I think, yeah, it's about learning to understand that if something is said to you that couldn't basically have been said to others and that does resonate with you, then actually there must be something. And whether that's names, events, even down to medical history, you know, when things are starting to be said and it's like, well, hang on a minute, that really is about my life. Then it's like, I guess there's that shift then to think, well, actually this, you've got to believe there is something. But yeah, like most people, until something happens, I sat on the fence. But then it just seems it's too good to be not true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why do you think it's important for people to keep a connection to somebody when they've passed away, by whatever means?
Again, it's down to that person, isn't it? You know, some people, if it's not important to them, then it's not. And that's fair enough, isn't it? But I think for those that are either interested or do want that comfort, then why not? Why not?
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
What are some meaningful ways families maintain that relationship? So we're talking more now about things like memory boxes, jewellery, rituals, that sort of thing. Is there anything that stands out to you as something that would bring people comfort or bring them closer to somebody that's passed away?
I think, keepsakes. I mean, I think I've spoke about this in another podcast, when my grandma passed away and we went to clear out her flat, there was I took away a quilt because it just smelled of my grandma, and I had it for many years until it lost its smell, really. But for me, that was such a comfort because that was what she smelled of. Whether it's keepsakes, people, it's very personal, isn't it, to different people. I mean, I even kept a teacup without the saucer and we still have that at home, don't we?
I do.
And it has a rose on it. And that, I just remember that was just something that I grew up with my grandma, those teacups and saucers. But obviously when she passed away, there was only one teacup left and it was probably a set of 6 with saucers, but there was no saucers left, but I've kept that teacup.
Okay, so things like that, these keepsakes and memorials, how do you think they sort of help when it comes to anniversaries and kind of like the healing process? So do you think by having them, it helps you deal with what's happened in a spiritual way? And do you think by remembering somebody when it comes down to an anniversary, do you think that equally helps people continually remembering?
I think it does. And I think, my grandma's been passed quite a few years now, many years. And, maybe that teacup and, as I say, that quilt cover were at the forefront of my mind or were in certain places within the home. Obviously, after time, I did discard the quilt cover, but I've kept the teacup, and the teacup is sort of in a cupboard now in the kitchen. So it's not at the forefront of my mind anymore. I know where it is, and I can bring that out whenever I need to. And I guess over the years, I don't look at it as much as I did, but that's part of the grieving process, isn't it? That something that maybe helped me more in the beginning, it's still significant to me, but not as much as it maybe was when I needed it to be.
Random question.
This is really deep.
Yeah, no, a random question, only because you've said this. Would you ever consider taking an item like that with you to the spiritualist church? Carrying it on your possession when you go in there?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you think that would, not entice, that's the wrong word, but encourage the person in the afterlife to come and give you messages or conversation?
I don't know, to be honest. I've not even thought about that.
No.
Mm.
Yeah, I would think probably it's an additional way of that person in the afterlife recognising you. I mean, I'm sure they're there anyway and they're around you all the time.
Mm.
But if you're carrying something with such significance with you,
Mm.
when you go into that kind of safe space, I would think that sort of would help them gravitate more towards you.
I don't know. Maybe it's a good job I've got rid of the quilt cover.
Yeah,
Don't want to be walking into the church with a quilt round me. Okay. So what about obviously supporting life after death in terms of the funeral director, and what role do funeral directors play after the funeral is over?
I think funeral directors need to keep an open mind and listen to what's being put in front of them.
Yeah.
And don't try and dismiss anything. I think if you were to bring your own feelings and thoughts into it, then you've made it about yourself, and it's not about you, it's about the people that you're looking after.
Yeah.
So I think they should be open and receptive to whatever's put in front of them, and then answer accordingly, but not necessarily to your own beliefs.
Okay. And do you think it's vitally important, once the funeral service is over, that we keep in contact with our families, whether it's phone calls or visits or aftercare?
Yeah, without a doubt. If they're open to that.
Yeah.
Some people aren't necessarily, but we can kind of tell the people that want further meetings, further conversation, anniversaries, those sorts of things. But yeah, we're always open to people coming back to us. And as you'll know, people use us sometimes like a bit of a drop-in centre, don't they? They'll come in and they'll just come in for no reason. They just want company or a chat or something. So yeah, I think you should always be available to people. Yeah.
Okay. Have you seen people, or how have you seen people rebuilding their lives after, and their sense of purpose after losing somebody that's been really significant to them?
I've seen it in lots of different ways. I mean, everybody's different, aren't they? But you'll see some people throw themselves straight into something.
Yeah.
And then that's their new norm. You'll see others struggle for years and years. And then not pity them, but empathise with them and wish there was something more you could do for them. But then all of a sudden you'll see there's a turning point, and it's like a light switch has been put on, and whether they've accepted that or they've moved, they've maybe got into another relationship sometimes.
Yeah.
There's loads of different scenarios that we've witnessed over the years where people are managing the loss of somebody in many, many different ways.
Okay. And do you think grief can ever bring about personal growth or new perspectives to people?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
In lots of different ways again.
Yeah.
I mean, you might find, sadly, somebody might have been in oppressive or abusive relationship, and that abuser has since passed away, and then it's like they're a new person. And then on the flip side of that, you might see that somebody was really reclusive because they were caring for somebody and they didn't have a life, if you like. They were 100% just looking after somebody.
Yeah. And
then they get this new lease of life. They get friends, they start socialising, and you can just see a total difference in that person.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's really interesting, isn't it? So what advice would you give to someone who feels stuck in their grief?
Don't put pressure on yourself. I think a lot of people will beat themselves up and think that they should be doing something different to be able to move out of this. Just be yourself and do what you'll do. I think the minute somebody starts telling you that you should be doing this or you shouldn't be doing that, or why don't you do this, you just forever, your mind's going to rebel against it and say, well, why should I do that? I don't want to do that. Why should I? Just take your time, and your body and your mind will tell you when it's time to do something or move on to something. The minute you start pushing yourself, let's take the scenario of in a business. So you'll give yourself targets to work towards.
Yeah.
That's great because you know what you're working towards.
Yeah.
If you do that in an emotional context, then yes, you'll push yourself to that and you'll keep pushing yourself. But what it'll do is you'll get so far and then you'll just fall straight back to nothing because you've literally pushed yourself where you should have just naturally got back to a position where you're comfortable.
Small steps.
It is all about small steps, yeah. Definitely.
Okay. And do you think children process death differently from adults?
Oh, my God. Children at funerals are just great. They're wild, some of them. And they're matter of fact. We try and protect them. We try... For years, people said, you can't have children at funerals. And, don't let them do this. Don't say the word died. Say they've gone off to heaven or they're sleeping. Just tell the truth to kids. You'll be surprised how they just take it on board and then move on to the next thing. And bringing children into funerals can be so healing for everybody else in that funeral because you're that worried about what they're going to say. And yes, they will go and say it, but they're just icebreakers.
Yeah.
They have no filters, children, especially young children. They will just say exactly what they're thinking. And that, in theory, really is what you were thinking anyway. Yeah. But you just didn't want to say it because you didn't want to upset people. Kids process things very, very differently. But you've got to be honest with them. Yeah. Yeah, don't try and skirt around things. Be honest with them.
Now, this is one thing I did research because I knew I was going to be talking about life after death. And I've wrote it down because to me this is beautiful. So you remember Dame Deborah James that died? Well, she died a couple of years ago now. And at the time, her daughter Eloise was 12. So now her daughter is 15 and has recently gone on national television to talk about her mum. And what she said was, Eloise, she said, I think someone doesn't leave your life until you lose your memory. As long as I keep that alive, she'll always be with me. And I think that's lovely. Yeah. You know, from a child's perspective, it's very brave, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think from a child's perspective, they're more likely to keep that memory there, I think.
Yeah.
Because you tend to find that some of them relationships are really, really tight, especially between children and grandchildren, say. Whereas as you grow that bit older and you get into relationships and you get your own life, then yes, occasionally then your relationships with those that you deem the closest to you aren't quite as strong as they maybe were when you were a child. So as a child's perspective, I think it's great.
Yeah, and I guess trying to keep hold of that memory of her mum, you know, because I can't remember a lot about when I was 12, you know, and to trying to hold on to what she remembers about her mum must be really hard. Yeah,
because we've never seen death as a child. I think that's probably why. So we can't put our minds in the mind of a child, can we?
No.
Yeah, but very brave of her.
Okay. So, closing thoughts. So to sort of discuss and talk about the hope, healing and moving forward. So what signs show that someone is beginning to heal, even if it's really slowly?
It's different in everybody, I would say, because you don't know what their natural, normal day would be like, really. But I think just, you can sometimes look at people and just think, you have got the weight of the world on your shoulders, and I wish I could lift that weight off you. And then sometime you may well see them in the future and you think, you can just see by your demeanour and the look of you and the way you stood that, yes, perhaps some of that weight has been lifted. Yeah. And maybe you are getting back to some sort of kind of normality.
Yeah. Yeah. So what does healing realistically look like anyway? You know, whether it's day to day or month to month?
I don't think anybody can answer that. No, I mean, you can draw from it what you want, but you can't tell from the outside whether somebody's healing or healed or not. You can look at everybody's outer, and we all put on this brave face, don't we? And we put on this hard shell, but then underneath, you generally don't know what everybody's going through.
Yeah.
So I think I would probably say, I didn't think this was going to turn into an advice session, but just be mindful the way you talk to people and the way you act around people. I mean, I've made mistakes in the past. I'm not perfect, where I've reacted to something and in hindsight, I thought back and I really shouldn't have said that or spoke like that, and you beat yourself up over it. I think nowadays I'm a lot more, let's just take a minute. What's the reasoning behind why they're being like that? And just, let's see. Yeah. Don't just ask once, ask twice if somebody's okay.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well, thanks for listening and watching again, folks. A little bit deeper this time, but we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Just Talk Funerals.
We really care about what you think. We'd love your feedback on the subjects raised today, or maybe you have a question you would like us to talk about in a future episode. You can contact us by emailing podcast@threadgoldfunerals.com.
If you'd like to know more about what we do and the services we offer, then please head to jasonthreadgoldfuneraldirector.com. Thank you for joining us today, and see you next time.